Imagine this moment. You're drowning, but not in water, in thoughts, in pressure, in the weight of everything you can't fix. Your chest feels tight, your body is exhausted, and your mind is loud. And the loneliest part is, you're not actually alone. In your hand, there's a phone. You could call someone, a friend, a partner, a family member, and realistically, they would answer. They would listen. They would show up. But instead, you flip the phone over. You silence the notifications, you lock the door, and you disappear. Not because you don't want love, not because you're cold, not because you prefer to be alone, but because something inside you whispers, a terrifying lie. If they see you like this, and they'll judge you. If you let them in, they'll pity you. And pity is worse than loneliness, so you choose isolation. And here's the paradox. The exact moment you need connection the most is the moment you destroy it. If you've ever done this, pulled away, gone silent, pushed away the people who are trying to hold you, listen closely. You are not broken. You are protecting yourself from a danger your brain believes is real. And in this video, we're going to expose that danger, then show you how to stop running from the people who want to stay. Let's begin. Before we go any deeper, we need to make one critical distinction, because not all silence means the same thing. There are two kinds of isolation, and they come from two completely different places. The first is isolation as a shield. This is what most sensitive, overwhelmed people do. They don't disappear to punish anyone. They disappear because their nervous system is overloaded. Their mind feels chaotic, their emotions feel embarrassing, and deep down, there's this fear that if anyone gets too close, they'll see the mess and judge it. So they retreat, not to hurt others, but to protect themselves from shame. This is the person who says, "I'm fine," while silently falling apart. This is the person who cancels plans, stops replying, and convinces themselves, "I just need space. I'll come back when I'm better." But then there's the second type, isolation as a weapon. This is not withdrawal. This is control. This is when silence becomes a punishment. If you hurt me, I'll disappear until you suffer too. This is the silent treatment, the cold shoulder, the emotional hostage situation. And let me be clear, those two behaviours may look identical on the surface, but psychologically, they're worlds apart. In this video, we're talking about the first one, isolation as a shield. Because if that's you, you're not toxic. You're not heartless. You're not manipulative. You're scared. You're flooded. And your brain has learned that disappearing is safer than being seen. Now the question becomes, safer from what? To understand why connection can feel unbearable during hard times, we need to borrow an image from an old philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer. He described a group of porcupines on a freezing winter night. If they stay apart, they freeze. But if they huddle close to share warmth, their sharp quills start stabbing each other, so they pull away. Then the cold becomes unbearable again, so they move closer. Then they bleed again. They're trapped in a brutal choice, freezing or bleeding. And for a lot of people, that is exactly what relationships feel like when life gets heavy. When you're doing well, closeness feels comforting. It feels warm. It feels safe. But when you're overwhelmed, when your emotional skin is raw, closeness starts to feel like danger. A simple question like, "Are you okay?" doesn't land like love. It lands like pressure, like an interrogation, like someone shining a flashlight into a room you've been trying to keep dark. Even kindness can hurt. A gentle look can feel like pity. A caring tone can feel like, "Oh, so you're weak right now." And for the person pushing people away, pity is worse than loneliness. Because loneliness is painful, but pity feels humiliating. So you do the only thing your brain thinks will protect you. You pull back, you shut down, you isolate. And here's what's really happening underneath. You're not rejecting people because you don't love them. You're rejecting them because you don't trust what will happen if they see the truth. In your mind, closeness has quills, and when you're already bleeding inside, you'd rather freeze alone than risk bleeding in front of someone else. Now we get to the real core of the behaviour. When someone is overwhelmed and still chooses to isolate, it's usually not because they want space. It's because they're terrified of something even worse, being rejected while they're vulnerable. So their brain makes a brutal calculation. If I let you close right now, if I let you see how anxious, messy, depressed, or fragile I feel, you might decide I'm too much. You might get tired of me. You might leave. And here's the twist. Instead of taking that risk, they do something that feels safer in the short term. They leave first. This is what I call anticipatory rejection. I'm going to reject you before you can reject me. That's why the behaviour often looks cold on the surface. They stop replying. They answer with one-word texts. They say, "I'm fine," in a tone that clearly means, "Don't come closer." They cancel plans last minute. They disappear for days, then come back acting like nothing happened. And to the people who love them, it feels confusing and cruel. But underneath, it's a defense mechanism built on one desperate need: control. Because rejection is unbearable when it happens to you. But when you reject first, it creates an illusion of power. If you leave me, I'm a victim. But if I push you away, then I'm the architect of the distance. It's tragic, because the person isn't protecting their heart from you. They're protecting their heart from the version of themselves they believe you won't be able to love. And the worst part, this strategy doesn't prevent abandonment. It just accelerates it. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never learn. The way you handle pain as an adult was trained into you as a child. Psychologists John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth discovered something powerful. When we're young, we don't just learn how to behave, we learn how safe love is, and that becomes a blueprint. A script your nervous system runs automatically whenever you're stressed, ashamed, or afraid. So if you're the type who shuts down and pushes people away, it often traces back to one of two attachment patterns. The first is called dismissive avoidant attachment. This is what happens when, as a child, you learned that emotions don't get you comfort. They get you ignored. Maybe you cried and no one came. Maybe your needs were treated like inconvenience. Maybe you were praised for being easy, quiet, strong. So you adapted. You learned needing people is dangerous. Feelings are weakness. I have to handle everything alone. As an adult, that becomes hyper-independence. Your default response to distress isn't "help me," it's "leave me alone." The second pattern is even more painful. Fearful avoidant attachment, also known as disorganized attachment. This is the come here, go away dynamic. It often happens when the person who was supposed to be your safety was also unpredictable. Sometimes loving, sometimes explosive, sometimes warm, sometimes terrifying. So your brain learned a contradictory lesson. Closeness equals comfort and danger. That's why, as an adult, kindness can feel suspicious. Support can feel like a trap. And when someone gets close during your worst moments, your system panics. You may even unconsciously test people, push them away to see if they'll fight to stay. But here's the tragedy. The test works until it doesn't. Eventually, people get exhausted. So if this is you, let me say it clearly. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're running an old survival script in a life that finally demands something new. Now, let's talk about the part most people misunderstand. When you shut down and push people away, it's easy to blame it on attitude. They're being stubborn. They're being dramatic. They're being cold. But in many cases, it's not personality. It's biology. When you're in a crisis, burnout, anxiety, depression, emotional overwhelm, your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Your nervous system flips into survival mode. Fight, flight, or freeze. And pushing people away is usually a blend of flight and freeze. Flight looks like emotional withdrawal, disappearing, cancelling plans, avoiding conversation. Freeze looks like numbness, blank mind, empty stare. I don't know what I feel. This is the moment your brain literally changes gears. Your amygdala, the threat detector, starts screaming, danger, danger, danger. And your prefrontal cortex, the part that gives you logic, language, empathy, and self-control, goes offline, which means something brutal happens. You lose access to the very skills required to ask for help. Because asking for help is not a simple action. It takes energy, it takes clarity, it takes words. It takes the ability to understand what you're feeling and translate it into a sentence another human can understand. But when your nervous system is overloaded, you don't have that. So instead of explaining, you shut the door. This is why people say things they don't mean, like, just leave me alone. I don't care. I'm fine. What they're really saying is, my system is overloaded and I don't know how to be seen right now. This is also why the more someone pressures you to talk, the worse it gets. Because your body isn't experiencing a conversation. It's experiencing a threat. And if you grew up in an environment where emotions weren't safe, your nervous system may have a very small window of tolerance, meaning it doesn't take much stress before you get pushed outside that window and your whole brain shuts down. So no, this isn't weakness. It's a nervous system takeover. And once you understand that, you can finally learn how to take control back. There's one emotion that fuels this entire pattern like gasoline. And it's not sadness, it's shame. Guilt says, I did something wrong. But shame says something far more toxic. I am something wrong. And when you're struggling, when you're anxious, depressed, burned out, shame doesn't just make you feel bad. It makes you feel contagious, like your pain is going to infect everyone you love. So you look at your partner, your friends, your family, and you start believing the most dangerous lie in the human mind. I'm a burden. You tell yourself, they're doing fine, I'm the storm cloud. They deserve peace, I'm chaos. If I let them close, I'll ruin their mood, ruin their life, ruin them. So you isolate, not to hurt them, but to protect them. And that's why this is so tragic. It's a twisted form of love. But shame doesn't stop there. It creates a spiral. Shame makes you hide. Hiding makes you feel invisible. Invisibility becomes proof you're unlovable. And that proof creates even more shame. Until one day, you're not just overwhelmed, you're convinced you don't deserve support. That's the real reason some people don't ask for help. Not because help isn't available, but because shame convinces them they haven't earned it. And here's the painful irony. Your silence doesn't protect the people who love you. It just makes them feel like they're losing you while you're still alive, because sadness invites connection, but shame demands disappearance. Now I want you to imagine something, because this is the part most people never see. When you shut down, it feels like you're protecting everyone from you. But on the other side of that door, there's a completely different experience happening. At first, the people who love you don't feel angry. They feel concerned. They send a text. Hey, I'm here. You don't reply. They knock gently. Can we talk? You say, not now. So they try again and again, because they care, because they don't want to lose you. But after a while, something shifts. They stop feeling concerned and start feeling rejected. Not because you're struggling, people can handle struggle, but because silence has no context. Silence feels personal. And slowly, the questions begin to creep in. Did I do something wrong? Am I unwanted? Do they even trust me? Do I matter to them? This is how withdrawal turns into heartbreak. Because from your perspective, you're drowning. But from their perspective, you're pushing their hand away while they're trying to pull you up. And here's what usually happens next, the saddest part of the cycle. They stop knocking, not because they don't care, but because every time they reach for you, it hurts. So to protect themselves from bleeding, they step back. They give you space. And when your brain sees that space, it interprets it as proof. See, they left. I knew it. I really am too much. But they didn't leave because you were too much. They stepped back because they were losing themselves, trying not to lose you. This is why the pattern is so dangerous. Not because you're unlovable, but because isolation trains love to retreat. So now the real question is this: if your nervous system is the one slamming the door, how do you open it again, without forcing vulnerability you don't have the energy for? Here's the answer. You don't need a deep heart-to-heart in the middle of a shutdown. You need a reconnection protocol. Simple, repeatable, and realistic. I call it the 3-level reconnection protocol. Because connection isn't one big leap. It's a staircase. Level 1. Micro-connection, 30 seconds. This is the minimum dose that prevents damage. When you feel the shutdown coming, tight throat, blank mind, urge to disappear, send one sentence, not a paragraph, not an explanation, just a signal. Use a pre-written script like, "I'm overwhelmed, I'm not mad at you. I'm going to be quiet for a bit, but I'm still here." That sentence does something powerful. It protects the relationship from misinterpretation, because silence without context feels like abandonment, but silence with context feels like a human nervous system doing its best. Level 2. Parallel existence. No heavy talking required. Here's a truth that changes everything. Intimacy doesn't always mean talking. Sometimes the bridge back to safety is simply sharing a room. Tell the person you love, "I can't talk right now, but can you sit with me while I read or watch something together?" This trains your body to learn a new lesson. I can be unwell and still be close. You're lowering the wall without demanding emotional performance. Level 3. Verbal repair after the storm passes. This is the step that most people skip, and it's why the cycle repeats. Once you're regulated again, you repair the rupture, not with shame, with clarity. Try this. "I want to apologize for shutting down. I wasn't rejecting you. I was overloaded. Thank you for staying patient." That's not weakness, that's leadership. And all of this is built on a DBT principle called opposite action. When your emotion tells you to isolate, and you know isolation will destroy what you love, you choose the smallest opposite step. Not a confession, not a breakdown, just a crack in the door. Because every time you reconnect, even imperfectly, you teach your nervous system something new. Connection is not danger. Connection is safety. Pushing people away isn't a personality flaw. It's a survival tactic, one that may have kept you safe in the past, but now quietly starves you in the present. So the next time your body urges you to lock the door, try something smaller. Leave it open 1 inch, send the one sentence, stay in the same room. Let someone sit beside you without fixing you, because your silence doesn't protect you. It only teaches people how to live without you. If this video resonated, I want you to comment below. What is your shutdown signal? What's the first sign you start pulling away? And if you want more psychology-based videos like this, real, practical, and deeply human, subscribe to the channel and stay with us. You don't have to do this alone. Thank you for watching.